Today we're going to be talking about...
Not much.
Uh-oh. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. My name is Eric Nance. I'm going to show you today a Pokemon deck called Night March. It is... Whoa, there's a cat. It is the deck that I placed in the top 4 at the North Carolina City Championships in Greensboro, and the deck that I placed in the top 2 at the Durham, North Carolina City Championships with. I am in the process of getting things set up upstairs for more video production so that I can bring you more videos, more deck reviews, more stuff that you want. I even had a request to show how to do some Pokemon paintings, and I think I might do that as well. But for right now, I'm just wanted to get a video out to you guys so that you could check out the deck that I've been playing with and finding some success with. So let's check it out. So let's look at the deck right quick. First thing we have here is Joltik. We run 4 copies of this guy, and you will see that this is the same pattern for any Night March deck. You run 4 Joltik, you'll run 4 of another Pokemon with Night March, and 4 of another Pokemon with Night March. Joltik is a weak guy. He only has 30 hit points, but his attack, Night March, is one of the most incredible attacks in the game. So Night March does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile that have the Night March attack. You can see where this is going. You might have anticipated this, but the next thing here is 4 Pumpkaboo. Guess what? Night March attack again. It's 20 damage times. You'll notice here though that this one has 3 for the energy cost as opposed to the 2 on Joltik. The next thing we have here is Lampent. Lampent's interesting. He's a stage 1. He doesn't really do anything. He just wants to go to the discard pile. That's all this guy cares about. Night March once more, and this is where you're really getting this guy into the discard pile to power up the Night March attack. The next thing that I have here is 3 Eevees. Alright, I run a fairly thick line of the Eeveelution. I run Flareon and I run Leafeon. You'll see those guys in a second. This guy is really good. Energy Evolution lets him bump up to any evolution when you attach a basic energy to him that is of the same type of that evolution. So you'll see later I run 3 Grass Energy. That is for getting to the Leafeon. As I said here, I run 2 Flareon. Flareon has this attack, Vengeance, which is sort of like Night March. It does 20 damage plus 10 more for each Pokemon that is in the discard pile. Doesn't need to be a Pokemon with Night March, just a Pokemon. So late game, you're doing pretty incredible amounts of damage with Vengeance. It also works off of a single DCE. That's a double colorless energy. I run 2 Leafeon. So like I said, it's a 3-4 line of the evolution here. Leafeon is in here for one sole purpose, and that is to basically mess with Seismitoad EX. Seismitoad EX is a very popular card in the game right now. He has grass weakness. This guy has water resistance. They're sort of combating each other. Leafeon is a really good card for damaging Seismitoad EX and breaking what Seismitoad EX does best, and that is item block. The next thing that I have here is actually proxy, so I apologize, but you can see where it says Mew EX. I've got to get my cards here sort of stocked up, but Mew EX is in here. Its versatile ability is basically it gives you the opportunity to use any attack that is in play, and you might guess we would want to use the Night March attack. Basically, I don't want to attack with a Joltik with 30 hit points if I can attack with a Mew EX with 120. Once more, I have another proxy here for the Jirachi EX. Jirachi EX's ability, it lets you look through your deck for a supporter card and put it into your hand. It's basically in there for consistency's sake, helps me get the deck set up a lot better. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get into our trainer line. Our supporter line is for Juniper. That's self-explanatory. It's the best supporter in the game. I have 4 in. Once again, this is probably the second best supporter in the game. It helps you to disrupt your opponent late game. It helps you to set up early game, and mid game it is there for a little bit more consistency once more. Then we have 2 Colress's. So Colress is a really good supporter, especially whenever you fill up your bench. A lot of players right now are filling up, maybe not filling up their bench. They usually run around, I'd say, 2 to 4 Pokemon on the bench. So if you're doing the same thing, you're going to get anywhere from 4 to 8 cards off of a Chorus, which is pretty nice on average. Then we have 2 Lysandra. Lysandra here is basically the replacement for Pokemon Catcher. Ever since Pokemon Catcher went to a flip, we have Lysandra here to guarantee that we pull something out from the bench so that we can knock it out. It's especially useful whenever we're facing decks that are sort of hybrids, where they run some EX Pokemon and then some non-EX Pokemon. We really want to benefit from the prize trade-off there. So if I'm able to play a Lysandra and bring up some EX Pokemon, I take 2 prizes. That means that I'm getting closer to that win condition of taking all 6 prizes than my opponent. The next thing that you'll see here is I run 3 VS Seeker. VS Seeker is one of the best cards in the game right now. I can't stress that enough. Even with Seismitoad EX in the game, if you're facing a deck that doesn't run Seismitoad EX, guess what? VS Seeker is equally powerful. And if you're still running against Seismitoad EX on your first turn, so you play a Juniper and you run into a VS Seeker, guess what? You can instantly play that VS Seeker and bring that Juniper right back from the discard pile to your hand. That's one thing that I really like about the change in the clause there. They used to say that your supporter had to be next to your active Pokemon. The supporter cards lost that wording a long time ago, and that actually benefits VS Seeker here. It makes that card a lot more powerful than when it first came out in Fire Red Leaf Green, I believe. That is my daughter. I will be back. Look who I got. Say hey, Naomi. Say hey to the camera. She just woke up. Let's see if we can finish this. Alright. We got 4 Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is there for basically getting your Pokemon out and play, and also discarding some of those Night March Pokemon. Remember, an Ultra Ball can lead to a Jirachi EX, which can lead to a Juniper or a Lysandra. Hi there. Yeah, Dad, you're on camera. So don't forget that an Ultra Ball can actually lead to a supporter if you need it. Here's another one of the heart and soul of this deck, Battle Compressor. So Battle Compressor is a really cool card, and I actually think it's a very skillful card. Lets you search your deck for any 3 cards and basically send them to your discard pile. And what would we want to send to the discard pile? Night March Pokemon. Yep, it's that easy. Next card that I have here is actually 3 Silver Bangle. Now this is kind of an odd card because a lot of people might think, why don't you run Muscle Band? But the truth is, if I'm facing something that is not an EX Pokemon, I'm typically doing enough damage to knock it out. And here's another thing, I really want to get these guys on my Leafeons as soon as humanly possible. If I'm going to face Item Lock against a Seismitoad EX card, then popping that Silver Bangle onto my Eevee early game can mean that I can use Leafeon's second attack, which I didn't actually mention. Leaf Blade does 60 damage, you flip a coin for 20 extra, but guess what? If I have a Silver Bangle attached to him, then I can go ahead and do 60 plus 30, 90 damage, times 2, 180. It's a one-hit KO on Seismitoad EXs. Alright, here's the next card that I got here, Enhanced Hammer. I actually ran 3 Enhanced Hammer for the week that I got top 4 at Greensboro. Enhanced Hammer, I think, is a really effective card right now. It's losing effectiveness because Donphan is sort of phasing out, while Yveltal Manectric is sort of phasing in. Hey. I don't know. Alright. One switch really is just like there for moments during the game. I'm not crazy about the switch, but I also keep it there in case I run against some kind of lock deck, a deck that's trying to lock me up in some manner. I don't want to lose outright because of it. We're not seeing a lot of lock decks, so maybe it's one of those cards that I'll throw out for something else. And I got my nice little proxy here, Full Art Dowsing Machine. I know there's no Full Art Dowsing Machine, just playing. Dowsing Machine is really nice for copying a lot of cards. Enhanced Hammer, Battle Compressor, maybe even a silver bangle. A lot of cards that basically I want to double up on. The last thing here as far as my trainers is 2 Dimension Valley. This helps my Pumpkaboo get its attack off, and it also helps my Mew EX use Night March for 1 single energy. How that happens is by putting a Joltik in play, using Mew EX, attaching a Grass energy, getting this guy in play. I'm now doing Night March for 2 energy, -1 because of Dimension Valley, so I can pull it off for Grass energy. Mew EX is something that I didn't play for the first week of playing Night March, but I played it for the next week because it actually helps out with what I'm going to show you next here. My 4 DCE and my 3 Grass energy. Mew EX can use these attacks for Night March, so that rather than using Night March 4 times in the game, I get to use it a max of possibly 7. So that's kind of the idea there with why I run Mew EX. The 4 DCE, absolutely critical. You have to get them on your Night Marchers, you have to get them on your Flareon in order to do the damage that you need to. And those 3 Grass energy are usually used for bumping up to a Leafeon using Energy Evolution on the Eevee. Alright, so next up I'm going to tell you some pro tips basically for how to play this deck effectively and not find yourself in a losing position when you shouldn't be. Alright, pro tips. What are some of the things that you absolutely want to make sure you're doing with this deck? Well, the first thing, and I can't stress it enough, you want to count your cards as soon as you get a chance to. Whenever you get to search through your deck, you want to go ahead and count your Pumpkaboos, your Lampents, your Joltiks. You want to make sure that you have all 4 DCEs in there, and then your Grass energies, whatever energies you're playing. You don't want to end up prize screwed, and by that I mean you find out too late that you have something in your prize cards that you thought was in your deck. It's not a good place to be in. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is when it comes to attaching those DCEs, you normally want to go ahead and attack in the same step, in the same turn. Because if you attach a DCE and you don't attack, you're giving your opponent a chance to enhanced hammer that DCE away. And I tell you, I mean, the deck is already low enough on energy as it is. You can't really afford to lose energy that way. One of the things that you can use as insurance to make sure that you draw into your DCEs, and this is another thing, is go ahead and thin your deck out for that late game. Make sure that you're using Battle Compressor not just to send things to the discard pile, but to also thin your deck out. If you're doing that, then when your opponent ends you down to a 2 or 1 or whatever, you have a higher likelihood of drawing into that VS Seeker that you need to copy the Juniper to get to that DCE to win that game. Otherwise, you draw into crap like Ultra Ball and Silver Bangles and stuff that you really don't want to see whenever it's the very end of the game. Another thing that I have faced with this deck is there's a lot of addition involved, and I know that it seems simple to say, well, you should be able to add up the damage, right? But there are some tricky things, and especially whenever you're under the stress of the tournament, you want to make sure that you're adding things up correctly. So if you have to spend a little bit of time looking through that discard pile and adding it up and double checking, maybe even triple checking, go ahead and do that. And you might have to apologize a little bit to your opponent. You definitely don't want to stall or anything like that, but you want to give yourself the best possible chance that you can to win, and you don't want to end up doing 160 damage when you thought you were doing 170. So just one of those tips there. The other thing that I think is important is the Battle Compressor VS Seeker trick. So if you open with a hand where you have Battle Compressors and a VS Seeker in hand as well, and no supporters, you might think to yourself, oh man, I have a horrible hand. But you actually have a pretty good hand. So this combination, just these 2 cards, you can Battle Compress, you can send a Juniper to the discard pile and then bring it back with the VS Seeker. You don't want to overlook that. You don't want to end up passing for a few turns and then realize, oh my gosh, I could have battle compressed away a Juniper, use the VS Seeker. I nearly did it in a tournament, and it's not, you want to make sure that you have that option available, that you observe that option, that you see it when it presents itself. And then the last thing that I'll say here is, I'll call it the trump shuffle. If you're anything like me, whenever if you're playing Night March, you separate your discard pile out into the different cards. So you have your, I usually have my trainers in the back of the discard pile, then I have my regular Pokemon, then I have my Night Marchers, then I have my energies. Sometimes I'll put my energies in the back, it doesn't matter. What matters though is that when your opponent plays the Lyssandra's Trump card, it's a very popular card in the game right now that sends your whole discard pile to your deck, you want to make sure that you give it a really good thorough shuffle, because otherwise you're going to end up in your deck, after it's shuffled, you're going to end up with like 5 Night Marchers stuck right here in the middle of the deck somewhere. It's almost like you unintentionally stacked your deck poorly for yourself. So you want to make sure that you give your deck a really good shuffle. And in my experience, I just explained to my opponent, I'd say, hey man, I've sort of, separated my discard pile out, so give me a chance to kind of shuffle it really well. And most opponents are okay with that, especially if you explain to them why you're doing that. I don't know if I would go so far as a 6-card shuffle or 6-pile shuffle, but just give it a really good thorough shuffle, spend some extra time. You want to kind of shuffle it almost, well, not like at the beginning of the game where you play an in and you're just like, shuffle, shuffle, here you go. Now you want to get a really good shuffle in so that you don't end up, like I said, stacking your deck poorly, unintentionally. Hey guys, thanks a ton for checking out my video. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss anything new that I post. Also leave me a comment and let me know what you'd like to see in the future, be it deck reviews, actual playtesting, videos of games, all that kind of stuff. So just let me know, drop me a line, and thanks so much.